Welcome to Rider Nation Station, presented by American Manufacturing Solutions, your total logistics partner, investing in Rider Nation Station and St. Mary's, Ohio, and to our other fine sponsors.
Welcome, everyone, to week number 4 of the Doug Frye Show here on Rider Nation Station. I'm Joe Hurlbert, your host, and alongside head coach Doug Frye. And coach, the Western Buckeye League, as we move forward, we're in week number 4, and in this COVID abbreviated season, we're halfway through the regular season.
It's amazing. Here we go in game 4 of 6 right now. And for our senior kids, the end's in sight already. You know, you got a playoff that we opted into the playoffs, and we're going to play in Game 7. But golly, we're less than a month of football left in this season, and that's amazing.
Let's kind of take a look real quick, if you will, as how the Western Buckeye League is shaping up after week number 3. Of course, the Van Wert Cougars, your opponent this Friday night, stand alone. They're the only undefeated team in the Western Buckeye League, 3-0. And then the St. Mary's, Kenton, OG, Shawnee, Elida all find themselves with 2-1 marks, followed by Salina and Bath at 1-2, and Wapakoneta and Defiance are both 0-3. Somewhat of a surprise to me that Wapak's 0-3.
Yeah, you never know in each program what they're dealing with. So we knew the landscape of the Western Buckeye League, take COVID away, was going to change a little bit this year because there were a lot of teams really coming on. And loaded with athletes, but obviously they've lost some close games, so I'm sure that there'll be a turnaround over there, and they'll win some games here before it's all done. And everybody has a second chance with the playoffs this year.
Absolutely. Well, let's take a look at some of the scores from last week's ball games in case you missed them. Kenton defeated Salina 51-28. Shawnee defeated Defiance 7-0. Elida defeated Bath 27-7. And Van Wert defeated Wapak by a score of 34-0. And, of course, OG in double overtime defeats the Riders 27-20. This week, around the Western Buckeye League, OG will travel to take on the Bath Wildcats. Salina and Elida will do battle at Elida. Kenton is at Defiance. Shawnee is at Wapak. And, of course, we'll preview Friday night's game, St. Mary's at Wapakoneta. Coach, let me ask you this. If you were to buy a ticket to watch one of these Western Buckeye League games, which one would you choose this week?
Golly, it'd be the Van Wert St. Mary's game.
Well,
and then no other ones would I even worry about.
That's true. That's true.
So it's a tough one for me, but I think that every game you're going to pick in the Western Buckeye League is going to be an entertaining game. And I know I'm not trying to be politically correct when I say that, but I think Elida is a team that's coming out of nowhere. So I'd like to. We don't play them, so I'm a little intrigued by seeing them play. So that whomever they're playing, I would be interested in that.
Absolutely. So. Well, that's a look around the Western Buckeye League, last week's scores, and games that are taking place this Friday night around the Western Buckeye League. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with more on the Doug Frye Show right after this.
American Manufacturing Solutions is proud to invest in St. Mary's and proud to sponsor Rough Rider football. Think AMS, think logistics, done right. AMS is your complete supply chain solutions provider. Have electrical service needs? AMS can take care of that too. Call us at 419-300-1007 or visit us at AmericanMFGSolutions.com.
St. Mary's Foundry wants to take this opportunity to give a big shout out to all our local teams, wishing them a safe and extraordinary season. And speaking of great teams, St. Mary's Foundry would like to thank its very own team of hardworking employees for their loyalty and dedication. If you're looking for rewarding challenges and first-string wages and benefits, check us out at stmfoundry.com or on hometownopportunities.com. St. Mary's Foundry, where iron and ingenuity meet.
Coach, we're again halfway through the regular season on this, like I said, this COVID abbreviated shortened season, but the playoffs are right around the corner. Is there any word as to how these are going to take place throughout the state?
Well, Jim and I, Holman, talk daily, and this is he's got the information turned in, and we're trying to decipher exactly how that's going to happen. But they're going to put the teams in the division. You're not going to change divisions. I asked him about that because we're only 10 boys into D3, 10, 12 boys. So I thought, well, is there a chance we could bump divisions? That's not going to happen. We're going to stay in the same division, at least to his understanding. And then they're going to see how many teams are there because each of the divisions will vary. There'll be some teams in the city maybe that aren't playing, and then they'll figure out how many rounds it's going to take to finish that division. And then there's some type of coaches poll or coaches vote that's going to go on in a week or two with seeding the top teams in the region. So if you've fared well enough in the 6-game season, you may very well end up with a bye and not play that first week of the tournament. We've chosen to schedule JV games. We have almost 50 kids that are playing on our JV combined freshman team, so we've chose to the rest of the season play combined JV freshman games to give our kids who have played 3 games a 9-game season and get those kids a lot of playing time. So even if we're playing an opponent in Game 7 or the opening of playoffs, we're still going to come back and play a JV game against hopefully one of the Western Buckeye League teams. We'll just see how that works out.
Now, when the seeding comes out, as far as the playoffs are concerned, will X amount of teams, maybe like the top 8 teams in that particular region, get home field advantage?
Home field advantage pretty much going to be most of the way through the playoffs. And the upper seeded team, the way I understand it at least, and there's a lot of since this is so new, there's a lot of gray area, as I guess we look at it. But really, you're not going to play at a neutral site till possibly the state championship game or a week prior to that, Joe. And which will, make it exciting for communities right now. Right. And the way I understand it is, let's say there's an upset somewhere through the tournament, the higher seeded team, when they put the seeds together, will host the game. Now, I don't know how that, I put a little thought in that, how that's going to come down to the fact if team has grass, late in the year, and we're talking going into late October, early November, if they would make a decision to move that to the other school based on a turf grass decision. So I've heard no talk of that. So
I had another question that kind of slipped my mind, but that doesn't surprise anybody.
You're doing well, Joe, but I would say that probably there will be some consideration as the season goes on with the shape of the fields and those situations. So,
will proximity have anything to do with it? A pairing of the teams after the first or second round?
I don't know. As far as I understand, it'll just be the higher seeded team that there may be some bumping around. I imagine, and even the association. This came into effect 6 weeks ago, maybe at the longest. So I think there's some, and I think it's become a very good plan.
Right.
I think that it's allowed there's teams that are going to open their season this week. Trotwood Madison, for example, opens their season this week. Yes, they're coming back in, and I believe they play one of these weeks. At least I've seen that as I've been looking at different people's schedules. They play Thurgood Marshall one of the weeks on their 3-game season, who we were supposed to open up with. As those teams resume, Belmont, Earl White down Belmont does a great job, and we played them in the playoffs a few years ago. They're going to be back in here. So those teams have started their season and will play a 3-game season before they enter the tournament. So it did allow a little bit of a window for the teams that had chose to not play to come back into the tournament. So I think this one's going to be really interesting. Of course, some conferences have chose the Northwest Conference, for example. They're in their playoff season, I think, this week or next. They've done it a little bit different with their league playoff as far as that goes, yes.
And, of course, if you're starting your season this Friday, you got a lot of catching up to do.
Well, you do, and I guess from one standpoint, you ought to be a little healthier from that standpoint, and that would help in that regard. And I don't know logistics. I don't know if those teams have been practicing throughout this period of time. So you're seeing just a lot of different someone asked me this the other day with the COVID situation. You're seeing a lot of variables that you wouldn't normally see in a normal season, because some teams, because of the county, were more restricted on what they did. Some teams had virtually no restrictions within their county. So that was something that really was out of the association's control. But normally on a normal season, those variables are all the same. You have 10 days of coaching, you have 2 days starting on the same time. But this year there's a lot of variables that, and I could see that throughout the coaching world where there's been more restrictions. Those teams you might see them come on a little later and be a lot better teams.
And in my opinion, for what it's worth, the team that can adjust and adapt the quickest and can settle into this season probably has a pretty good advantage.
In addition to staying healthy.
Correct.
I mean, something we don't talk probably enough about because it's just the way it is. But, staying healthy is
right.
In this game, there's so many variables with that. And that's something Van Wert has done this year, and they've kept their kids in place. Anytime, you alluded to that in what you just said with the adjustments, if you can gain consistency in your teaching and keep kids in the lineup and stay healthy, then that's an advantage in anything you do in life.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to touch base and take a look at last week's game against the OG Titans. We'll do that and more as the Doug Frye Show continues right here on Rider Nation Station right after this.
For all your sporting good needs, visit Albert Sporting Goods at 121 West Spring Street, serving the St. Mary's community since 1980.
Auglaize Equipment Rental is your source for all your equipment needs. Whether you're a contractor or a homeowner with a project, we can help get the job done more efficiently. Check us out at 1900 Salina Road or auglaizeequipmentrental.com or just call 419-394-7883. Auglaize Equipment Rental.
Welcome back to the Doug Frye Show on Rider Nation Station. I'm your host, Joe Hurlbert. Glad to have you along. Beside me, head coach Doug Frye. Coach, last week, tough one. The OG Titans came to Grand Lake Health System Field and took 2 overtimes for it to do it, but nonetheless, they came away with the win.
Well, you're judged in this business a lot of times by the final score on that scoreboard. So, that goes to the loss column, even though we don't judge our kids in that regard. We judge on the efforts and our consistency of play and the little things that are done out there. And the thing that's I really like about this football team is our resiliency and our ability to continue to play. We're still searching for that consistency at this point that I alluded to earlier.
Sure.
And I think we'll find that at some point. As long as we can stay healthy, we're going to find that. Obviously, our hands are full this week, so it'll be a good week to find that. But at some point, this team, with health and with continuity, there's a heart to this team, and at some point we're going to pull it all together.
Well, last week against the OG Titans, the Rough Riders were able to get 23 first downs in the game. They had 369 yards of total offense, 43 yards through the air, 326 yards on the ground. You had to be pleased with the running game. Still finding our way through the air.
Yeah, we are, and I think again that'll come too. And but our MO, our mission of operation, is to run the football.
Sure.
And the better we can become at that, the rest of it will continue to take care of itself. But like I said, it's a lineup with a lot of kids, and I'm certainly not a person to ever make excuses. That's not part of my mentality by any means. But this is a group where we put a lot of different and new faces in the lineup, and they're starting to blend together and get a feel for things. So hopefully we can put that all together here soon.
Ethan Wedding had a good night rushing the football, 17 carries, 114 yards. He averaged 6.7 yards per carry. And, of course, Dylan Troglin, 105 yards on 18 carries right here as we go to our highlights, Coach. This is Dylan out of the Wildcat formation. Gives you a lot of flexibility and a lot of looks from that position.
I've been extremely pleased with this young man. He's come a long ways. He was not a football kid until he, I believe, hit the 8th grade. He had played soccer earlier, so fundamentally he was catching up a little bit. And I think now everything's starting to come together for him. I look at his eyes, and he knows that this career is starting to get towards the end. And he's a kid that just plays with a lot of heart. I'm really proud of the way he's done. Yeah.
And then, of course, Gavin Reineke on our next clip. The more I watch him, the more comfortable he seems to set in at the quarterback position.
He's settling into the quarterback position in our system right now and understanding what we expect of a field general. I call him the field general every day that I walk out there, and he's getting that and understanding the personality that he needs to run our offense. Happy yet? No. Is he happy yet? No, but he's coming along.
Absolutely. The next clip we've got is Ethan Wedding. I believe he takes a sweep and gets a nice gain.
He has a patience about him. Both the halfbacks that we're playing have a patience and allow the blocks to be set up. So he does a nice job there. We clean the edge real nice. Up to this point, if you look at the teams we have played, Ottawa Glandorf's a team that we have struggled at times running the ball with through the years. They're physical kids that play hard. Ditto with the teams we played the 2 weeks before. So we've had some challenges early in the year, and I really think we're starting to get better.
This next play is Dylan Troglin with a nice sweep to the end zone, puts 6 points on the board for the Rough Riders.
Again, very well done on the setup of the play, and sets it up nice, makes a nice cut back in the hole right there, and just a good-looking football play. That's typical St. Mary's right now. Good lead block out in front there, too, by Wedding.
And the next clip is the same play, but just from a different look.
Absolutely. Boy, that really opens up right there, and a good run right there. So well done.
I think Doug Spencer could have ran through a hole like that, but I don't know.
Well, that's kind of questionable, but probably.
On this next clip, this is another run by Ethan Wedding. It helps set up the Riders' next score.
Yeah, he does a nice job of dipping into the hole and dipping out right there, and that's something that's hard to teach, okay? And we talk about a lot, and we continue to work on that in practice and continue to get better at it.
You can almost see that he uses his blockers extremely well, but he also sets up the would-be tackler. Like he's going outside, and then he'll cut back inside, and he's a very heady runner.
That's very smart runner. He's not the fastest kid we have on the team by any means, so he uses his abilities to his best he can. So that's well done.
There's another run. This one here, I believe, is Aiden.
That's Troglin there.
Troglin
coming across. And what I really like about that is Dylan used his athleticism a lot more in the past, but this is a nice physical run down there, the goal line right here, and that's well done.
Good line blocking at the point of attack.
We're starting to come around on that O-line. It's something that we're going to continue to hopefully progress on right there, but we're starting to come around a little bit.
Yeah, this next clip here is Aiden Hinkle scoring in the overtime session.
Yeah, this is just an athletic move by Aiden right here, bouncing it to the outside, and nice job getting to the corner of the end zone.
He's got some good speed.
He does. We're getting him back in shape. He missed 2 days, so he's coming back around now.
This is another good run by Ethan Wedding. This is also in the overtime period.
Again, he keeps it flat instead of cutting it too early and bounces to the seam. Very nice, very smart run right there.
Yeah, that was in the second overtime. Mm-hmm. And then this last one here was where the Riders had it here and just wasn't able to punch it in.
Nope, didn't happen. But we were happy with the way our kids played overall, just looking for that first half consistency. I think if we put a first half together, we wouldn't have been in the situation we ran in the double overtimes.
And it seems that's been the tale of the Rough Riders this season.
Mm-hmm.
First half, almost tough to score.
Mm-hmm.
Second half, it's like life begins.
Yeah, it seems that way. Yeah, and that's a good way to put it. But it's not like we haven't moved the ball in the first half.
Exactly.
It's just putting a finishing touch on things in the first half, and so which gives you some optimism that we can get that corrected.
I think defensively, we're going to look at the defensive highlights, but I think the defense played well. Mm-hmm. They did a great job against the run. And when they put pressure on the OG quarterback, mm-hmm. he got flustered.
He did. I tell you what, there's never a lack of athletes at Ottawa Glandorf, mm-hmm. and the success of their basketball program is indicative of that. And these kids, this is as good. I've seen Ottawa Glandorf on film. This is as good as they played all year. There was not a dropped ball mm-hmm. that was catchable the entire night. And, you got to give them a lot of credit. We talk about the things we could have done to win the ball game, but I thought they really executed well.
This first clip, Dylan Giesecke did a good job. I think he runs him down from the backside.
Yeah, Dylan on a little bit of a stunt there to the inside, and a young man that his brothers played for me a few years back, Austin. They're just good football players.
This one here, good pressure by the Rough Rider defense.
Yeah, we force him out a little bit. It was Gieske again on the edge there, and there's an interference call that's made on this play.
This next one is the Rider defense got in through the and got a tackle for loss.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a snap count problem there.
It kind of looked like
going
it.
On. It's like kind of you're thinking, well, is that play starting or not starting? And we're already back there, so it's a good job by our kids reacting. So I think maybe their center snapped it a little early, and kind of surprise for the running back.
This next play here, I'm sure, is going to be discussed in rules of the game. This is Dylan Gieske was called for a horse collar, and we've got I think both views on this one. This view here, and then from the end zone, and I don't see it. I don't see it.
I can't. We didn't see this up. From that view, I can't tell. But they are pretty picky about the horse collar rule anymore. So
can you explain exactly
it's
what
grabbing the back of the jersey, from here it looks like a horse collar
Does
to
it?
me, frankly. Yes, it looks like the right call. But if you grab the back of the jersey near the neck area, okay, they're going to call that, or inside the shoulder pad area, they're going to call that as a horse collar right now.
I can see grabbing inside the shoulder pads, but if you grab the back of the jersey, they're going to call that as well.
Well,
Or is that
you can
that
ask
a
Mark.
gray
You
area?
can ask Mark about that on the gray area. Actually, grabbing the, I believe, and ask Mark about this too, because we are using the Gator face mask now, so I believe grabbing the Gator face mask in the back is also a horse collar.
Really?
Now at this point, so. But yeah, from the view of the official in defense of them from the back, that may have been one of those calls where it's hard to tell, but it looks like a horse collar from here. So
this play here is a nice play offensively by the Titans. This set up a touchdown.
yeah, it's a nice run, and the kid makes some good cuts. We missed you don't see this view, but we were in the hole for a tackle, and our linebacker had his head down. He's got to get his head up and make that tackle right there.
This is good defense here by, I believe, Stosh Patterson. Going to make the OG Titans earn their score.
Absolutely. Well done. Comes underneath. Makes a very good football play right there. He's doing a great job for us at D end.
This next play, the defense flushes ball out of the pocket. And like I said earlier, once he got flushed out of the pocket, he didn't look as comfortable as he did when he was sitting in there.
Well, the thing that stood out to me about this leg before the season is most everybody but us and Wapak returned our quarterback. Mm-hmm. And they were either 2-year or 3-year starters. So, the way people are throwing the ball around now, that makes it as a tough challenge.
And this is the fumble that we talked about earlier. This eventually was called that OG recovered the football. They later went on to score. But, for all intents and purposes, you've seen different angles than this. We've got another angle, but we really can't see either or. But when it was all said and done, Riders came up with the football.
Well, it certainly looked like it, but the officials the final say on it. And, and we just told the kids we need to make sure it doesn't come down to that last play.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then a couple of special teams. Aiden Eigenbrud, I tell you what, he got 3 returns on the night. I think.
Did a nice job adjusting here to their kickoffs and got us field position each time. And he's a first-year starter for us. So, my hat's off to Aiden and what he did right there. And, a lot of our kids that are starters play on our special teams too. And he's a defensive starter for us. And so did a nice job right there.
Yeah, this is another one. Now, if you give them kind of like a bug in their ear to be ready for this, because it seems more and more each week that the opposing team is not kicking it deep to your return men.
We're not getting the leg has changed, and we probably won't see it deep again this week.
Really?
The leg has changed and decided they're not going to give people – and part of that might be in reaction to the COVID situation, because you're probably seeing this – I haven't really watched any NFL. I watched the first quarter of the Browns, and that's about all I watched. But the Browns game, and then of course the Big Ten's not on yet, so I'll be a little later watching Big Ten football. But I think people were very, very concerned about covering kickoffs early in the year, because you just didn't get a lot of practice time, didn't get any scrimmage time with that. And really, they're very difficult to cover in practice, because you don't want to take the chance of getting your kids hurt in practice. just the wide open collisions. So that might be a reaction to the shortened preseason.
Sure.
So,
and this one here is just good special teams coverage by your kickoff team.
Well, we get downfield pretty nice right there and do a nice job on this, and yeah, that's good tackle. I don't think that is Troglin right there making that tackle.
Well, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at this week's opponent, the Van Wert Cougars. The Riders will be on the road. Rider Nation stations will be right there to bring it to you. 7 o'clock kickoff from Van Wert. We're going to come back with more on the Doug Frye Show right after this.
Vogel's Bake Shop, making thousands of fresh donuts daily, open 7 days a week with stores in St. Mary's, Salina, and Walpock. Also now found in Wagner's IGA in New Bremen, Minster, and Fort Laramie.
Coach, the Riders are on the road, traveling up to Van Wert. And you know, as I was looking over some of the history of the Western Buckeye League, when you talk about the history of league championships, it's St. Mary's, Van Wert. St. Mary's has won 25 Western Buckeye League titles. The Van Wert Cougars have won 18 Western Buckeye League titles, and then everybody else settles in behind. So there's a lot of pride in these two programs.
Well, you look at history, it has a way of repeating itself. And we're kind of went around the cycle a little bit, and Coach Recker's been there a number of years now at Van Wert. He's done a nice job with the program. Now you can see through all levels of the program, their numbers are up. He's rebuilt the program, and I think that's sometimes what people don't put enough thought into. We're in this instant gratification society, and I believe Coach Recker's been there over 10 years now, and a lot of struggles, but he's continued to plug at it, got some help from the people around him, administrative people, got some coaches on the staff, and they're starting to come around, and again, they've got athletes. Right. They've got athletes. When you look at their quarterback, he's one of the best two athletes in this league right here. And so not only are they putting coaching together, but they're on a real run of athleticism right now. They've stayed healthy. That's in past years when we've matched up with them, there's been some key kids that have been out of the ball game. So from that standpoint, they've been a little bit fortunate. But we've come through a 0-0 game at Bath, an overtime game with Wapakoneta, now double overtime. We're going right back in to Van Wert. So I told the kids something to be excited about it, and I think our kids are excited about the opportunity to go play, even though we know this is by far the most talented team in the Western Buckeye League right now.
And they're familiar names. I remember we did the game last year. These names stick out to me. Nate Johnson. Mm-hmm. Of course, their quarterback, Owen Treese, and, of course, their wide receiver, Drew Johnson. Mm-hmm. Talented people in skilled positions.
Absolutely, which makes it tough. Yeah. And we're going to have to play at a high level to have an opportunity to win. But I think we have a big challenge in front of us.
How do the Van Wert Cougars look defensively?
Very good. I mean, all the way across the board. I mean, they've been in 3 blowout games. They just shut out a Wapakoneta team, 34-0. So, this is a very, very good football team that we're going to have to play very, very well to have a chance to be successful.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with a final thought from the coach right after this.
Guarneri's Pizzeria and Pub has partnered with Rider Nation Station this season so that every Friday night, Guarneri's can be Rough Rider Football Central. Guarneri's will be streaming Rough Rider football live every Friday night at 7, paired with your favorite Rider aid. Make sure to call and make your reservations now to ensure yourself a good seat. Call Guarneri's at 419-394-2244 and make your reservation today. And go Riders!
Miller Funeral Home has been serving the Rough Rider community in its time of need since the 70s. Our business is a family affair, dedicated to serving families with integrity, dignity, and compassion. Miller Funeral Home, proud to be a supporter of the Rough Rider community.
Welcome back once again to the Doug Frye Show. Joe Hurlbert along with head coach Doug Frye. And, Coach, we end every program the same. What's it going to take for St. Mary's to come away with a win on their side of the ledger?
I think we need to play 4 quarters of football is what we need to do instead of just 2.5. So we need to get off the bus and get ready to play and bounce back from the loss that we've had. And I think when you tune in, you're going to see our kids playing with great heart. They're going to play hard, and we're excited about the opportunity to play Van Wert and know it's going to be a huge challenge for us. But also, one that we're looking forward to.
Absolutely. Well, we wish you the best this Friday
Okay,
on the road.
Thank you.
At Van Wert. And of course, as I mentioned, Rider Nation Station will be there to bring it all to you live and in color from Van Wert. We'll be in the skybox to bring it to you, so join us. We'll be on the air maybe about 6:50 or so. We'll have rules of the game prior to that, so join Mark Sisko and Zach Farrell for that. And of course, the Doug Frye Show airs on Thursday evenings, so we'll hope to see you then. For head coach Doug Frye, I'm Joe Hurlbert. Until next time, so long, everyone.
Thanks for watching another episode of Rider Nation Station. Help us help you by subscribing on YouTube or following us on Facebook.